In the silent darkness of the room where you are lying, let the noisy sounds of the modern world gradually fade away, making way for a quiet shift of the mind. You feel the chill of a late afternoon enveloping the space, but it is not the cold of the present, but a breeze from the Tuscany region of Italy in the final years of the 12th century. We are moving away from the dazzling electric lights to find our way back to the ancient city of Pisa, where the Arno River flows lazily past red-tiled roofs, about 160 miles northwest of the capital, Rome. The scent of fresh mud and the saltiness from the Mediterranean Sea are weaving into your every breath, soothing your soul in a slow rhythm, making you a part of a glorious past. Here, amidst the blue stone paved squares and the towers reaching high, you are no longer an observer, but the traveler walking on the boundary of two eras. This is a space dedicated to rest and contemplation, where Fibonacci Biography for Sleep will guide you deep into the mysteries of the universe through the lens of numbers. Before we begin this magical journey on the Mind Manor channel, please gently press the like button and subscribe to support me. And do not forget to leave a comment about the time and location where your night is beginning, so that kindred souls can find each other in the vastness of the darkness. And so that I know these words have touched your peace. You find yourself standing before a bustling harbor, where giant wooden ships are bobbing on the water, carrying crates of silk and spices from the Far East. The sound of church bells echoes from afar, steady and somber, signaling a new beginning for human intellect. You feel the gentle vibration of the ground beneath your feet, where a bell tower is beginning its strange tilt, like a question mark placed in the heart of history. You take a deep breath, feeling the stillness spreading from the ancient stone walls soaked in mist. We are about to step into the life of a man who changed the entire way humans calculate and perceive the world. A man who connected civilizations through the beauty of logic. Let your body relax completely, from your toes to the top of your head, and feel the weightlessness as your mind melts into the space of the 12th century. No more worries, no more pressures. There is only you and the peaceful flow of history waiting to be explored. The golden sunset is gradually giving way to the mysterious night of the Tuscany region, opening a portal that takes you into a dream of eternal numbers. We begin our journey right here, where the breath of the past blends into the heartbeat of the present. Part 1. Birth in Pisa and Early Years, 1,171,179. You stand in a golden afternoon during the long 12th century, where Tuscany sunlight spreads like honey on the white limestone of Pisa Square. The breath of the Arno River carries the scent of fresh mud, mixed with salt from the sea, weaving through every narrow alleyway, soothing your soul with slow rhythms and bringing a sense of peace. The year is 1170, and you are young Leonardo, who will be known to everyone as the architect of many numbers. But at this very moment, you are just a small soul, feeling the vibrations of a city at the height of its pride. Pisa is more than a home. It is a living, breathing entity, a powerful maritime monster with sails, casting shadows across the wide horizon. You hear the rhythmic hammer strikes from the distant construction sites, where a bell tower begins tilting into the soft and yielding earth, creating a very strange leaning angle that you cannot yet fully understand. The prosperity of the Pisa Republic surrounds you like a grand cloak, yet it also carries great weight. Every step on the stone paths is an assertion of your freedom. You feel it through the craftsmen, talking and sharing their daily stories. Merchants stride with great confidence, without bowing to kings or princes. All its citizens are brave, and they have neither king nor prince to whom they obey. That sentence echoes in your mind like a hymn of true independence. You were born of Fibonacci blood, a family of kindness and utility. Your father, the noble Guglielmo, is a steady lighthouse for you. You see him with thick ledgers, furrowing his brows while decoding many massive matrices of large numbers. In your world right now, mathematics is not about beautiful curves or the magic of the universe. It is the breath of survival. Every number is a cargo crate. Every calculation is a long trip, and every mistake means lost fortune. You are the son of customs. Your life is tied to scales and the weight of gold coins. But there is a hidden irony in the name history gives you, Fibonacci, which means Filius Bonacci, the son of Bonacci. You never heard that name then, during all your childhood years. It is a paradox of history, a sweet mistake of the future, for a man who wanted only to be called Leonardo of Pisa. You wonder if in centuries later, when your name travels very far, people will remember a small boy sitting by the harbor counting gulls flying over his young head. Feel the rough parchment under your fingers as you learn to write Latin. Your education is not in monasteries, with sacred Latin prayers and silence. It happens in noisy markets, amidst the arguments of many traders. You learn to read and write, and most importantly, to calculate, using the Roman numeral system. But that system is like chains, made of heavy iron holding wings. When you see symbols like I, V, X, L, C, D, M, you feel like building a castle, using stones that are not square. To write 1,998, you need strings, like a long and endless train. There is no zero present, no movement of values by position. Everything is silent and very rigid. Every addition is a hard battle. Every multiplication is a great torture. You see your father and merchants relying on the abacus on tables, where small wooden beads click loudly, sliding along the horizontal grooves. It is a dance of matter, not a dance of human intellect. You stand there observing thin fingers of your father moving the beads, and a question begins to grow in your young and innocent mind. Why use physical tools for things that the mind should do elegantly? Why must math be so heavy? The contrast between a modern Pisa and an old system of numbers is like steering a great ship using only a broken wooden oar. You often escape dry lessons to find the bustling sea harbor where ships from the Far East are unloading their heavy goods. The scent of cinnamon and pepper, the smell of fresh silk fabrics blend together in the open air. You listen to strange foreign languages, urgent sounds of many Muslim sailors from lands across the Great Sea. In your eyes, they are not enemies of the many crusades. They are keepers of secret knowledge that Europe has never touched yet. You are curious how they calculate the value of gold from Africa. You wonder how they navigate oceans using only the distant bright stars. First seeds of curiosity were sown in the soil of your soul, waiting for rain to finally sprout. But before the blooming could happen, the darkness of loss covered the home. Your mother, the kind Alessandra, had a voice like evening bells. She has now left you forever. You remember the scent of flowers from the wild fields of Tuscany that she often brought back home. You remember the warmth of hands when she stroked your hair nightly. Her passing around your 9th year left a silent void in the house, where only the abacus clicks loudly. Everything in Pisa suddenly feels old and faded like an aging painting. Familiar streets now carry deep sadness, but in that moment of breaking, fate reached out a guiding hand to lead you on another path. Your father, the master Guglielmo, was appointed to go to Bugia, a prosperous port in North Africa. He looked into your young eyes, seeing a teenager needing a start, having an eye to future usefulness. He wanted you to go along, leaving the red-tiled roofs of Pisa for the white domes of the Islamic world. You stand at the foggy harbor, looking at your hometown once more. The leaning tower still sinks deep, like a symbol for your life. You realize you are no longer just a small boy of Pisa. You are becoming a true traveler, a real Bigolo of the world, who builds an invisible bridge now, connecting two very different worlds. Every wave hitting the ship hull is a reminder of true infinity. Every wind blowing past your ears whispers about many undiscovered numbers. You carry nothing but a heavy heart from the pain of losing your mother and a mind full of questions. This trip is not just migration, it is a shift of consciousness. You head toward the setting sun to seek the light of knowledge, where the Hindu-Arabic system waits to change your life and civilization. Rigid Roman numbers fade far away, behind the line of the horizon, giving way to vast open seas. You feel the ship hull vibrate as sailors begin to pull anchors. Iron chains clank against each other, signaling a truly great journey ahead. Your eyes follow the many seagulls. They are like links between sky and the surface of the water, between the past and the future. You take a very deep breath, feeling sea salt fill your chest, and let your heartbeat join the rhythms of waves that are pushing forward. Darkness covers the harbor of Pisa. Only small lanterns flicker from afar, like stars falling to the ground. You walk slowly up wooden stairs, feeling the gentle rocking under your feet. Cargo boxes stacked in the hold, smelling like pine and black tar. You move toward the ship deck, where your father waits for you, beside the rolled maritime maps. Part 2. Moving to Bugia and learning a new number system. The salty sea air still lingers upon your soft and quiet lips, blending with the scent of pine and the smell of old wood from the great expeditionary ships bobbing gently at the busy harbor. You feel the wooden deck rocking beneath your feet, giving way now to the firmness of stone slabs at the harbor of Bugia City. This was a vague concept in the stories of your father just a few short weeks ago. North African sun is not gentle, like the sun of Tooth-Scanny region. It is radiant, and it is harsh, covering all things in bright gold. You take a very deep breath, feeling hot air carrying candle wax, the smell of leather and spices, which have never been named before. Bugia appears before your very eyes, not just as a busy harbor, but a gateway of pure light, where candles known as bugis are exported all over the world. These candles are a great symbol for the illumination of human knowledge. You stand at the great crossroads of many different ancient civilizations, where the sea is no barrier, but an invisible and strong link connecting hearts that desire to trade. Your father, the man named Guglielmo, stands there among the parchment stacks, and cargo is being unloaded right now. He waves to call you closer, to the Pisan customs office there. You walk through the diverse crowds, feeling the busy pulse of life, in a world you never imagined, back when you were in Pisa. The waves hitting the ship hull join the shouts of the porters, creating a symphony of great prosperity. You see men wearing long robes, with white turbans on their heads. Their eyes are deep and calm. They do not see the world through lenses of many religious wars. They see the world through numbers, through astronomical charts, and through goods. You realize that in Bugia city, power does not lie in swords, but in the ability to calculate and the ability to see rules. Every step on the streets of Bugia is a discovery of great diversity. You smell frankincense from the pharmacies. You hear Arabic language spoken often, mixed with the sharp sounds of Berbers and the softness of the Italian. This is a world without borders, for thinking where knowledge is respected more than any old narrow prejudice. You sit down on a carpet in the merchant quarter of town, feeling the roughness of wool fibers beneath your small and curious hands. You watch an Arab merchant calculating the price of silk from China. His fingers move very quickly now, but not on any abacus beads. He uses a fine sandboard. Strange symbols are drawn with sticks, simple and elegant and very powerful. You ask yourself the deep question, why do small symbols hold power? In Pisa, you were very used to seeing your father struggle hard, with Roman numerals heavy like stones. I, V, X, L, C, D, M, they are chains of the mind, forcing people to use physical tools for the simplest of all calculations. Roman numerals are like solid walls. They keep the numbers standing still, without any movement or any flexibility. To perform a single long multiplication, one must spend a whole afternoon with the abacus, where wooden beads click together in a material chaos. But here, under the cool domes, you are seeing a great liberation. You are seeing mathematics perform now, with the silence of the soul and the flow of dark ink. Your father, with the clear vision of a man measuring the truth, saw a sprout in you today, needing water from this new knowledge. He did not want a merchant. He wanted you to become a master, having an eye to usefulness and future convenience for your own life. He took you to a school led by many great Islamic scholars. You enter the cool classroom now, where the walls are decorated with patterns symbolizing the infinity of the universe. Your teacher is an old man with a silver beard and eyes, bright like the stars at night. He begins to introduce to you the 9 symbols of the Hindus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And one final and last symbol, a small circle representing the void, representing nothingness, but also the key. 0 is known as Zephyrum here. It is like a silence between 2 musical notes in a song, a space needed for all things to position themselves in the world. You feel a gentle shiver now, running down your young spine today, as you understand the place value. In this system, a number today is never standing perfectly still now. It holds the power to change, depending on where it finally stays. A number 1 in the units. Place is only worth just 1, but when moving to the left, standing before a 0, it is 10. then 100, then 1000. It is a magical movement now, a dance of positions that the Romans never ever dreamed about before today. You realize that zero is not the absence of all value today, but the presence of infinite potential. It is the fulcrum for you to lift the world of math. Under the guidance of Arab teachers, you learn to solve trade problems at a truly extraordinary speed now. You add long rows of numbers with just a few pen strokes. You multiply huge numbers without touching any of the heavy abacus beads. Everything becomes transparent and very clear and full of deep human logic. You learn to calculate profit rates, how to convert many different currencies from all over the Mediterranean Sea, how to divide assets for partners, fairly down to the smallest bit. Mathematics is no longer a burden. It has become a true friend, a lens helping you see through the chaos of the busy market, to see the order of numbers. You feel you are given wings to fly above the old walls of European thinking in your mind. Your love for this great art has begun to grow very much now, beyond the initial commercial purpose today that your father had expected before. You do not just use numbers to make more gold coins today. You want to use them now to understand the nature of truth. You spend many hours studying works of the great master Al-Khwarizmi, who laid the foundations for algorithms that you are using right now. You see beauty in the equations, symmetry in all the transformations now, and perfection in how numbers interact. Knowledge of the art very much appealed to me before all else, and I came to understand it. These words echo in your mind like a sacred vow of spirit, a complete dedication of the mind to the beauty of the numbers. You dedicated yourself with very earnest application. Every morning when the prayer bells ring from the high towers above, you are sitting at your desk, waiting for secrets to be revealed. You feel like a small seed planted in fertile North African soil, and every lesson is a drop of water helping you grow strong. You are no longer the boy, often absent on streets of Pisa. You have become an explorer now of the abstract territories of logic, where logic is the only map. You realize the Hindu-Arabic system is not just a simple tool. It is a brand new language, a language that can describe the entire universe without any wordy clutter. In the quiet nights in Bugia, when the silver moon reflects now on the surface of the still sea, you sit on the high terrace, looking at the far distant horizon. You think of your home, Pisa, of merchants still struggling with beads, of monks still copying rigid numbers. A faint sadness enters your soul as you realize the great gap in knowledge between two distant shores. You feel like a chosen messenger, holding a fire in your hands that can warm and light Europe, which is sinking into the darkness. You wonder, if you return home, will people believe your strange stories? Will they accept breaking chains that have bound them for centuries? That rhetorical question haunts you now, but it does not discourage you. Instead, it urges you to learn, to go even further than this. You begin to long to see how mathematics works in other lands, in Egypt, and in Syria too, and in the land of Greece. You realize that Bugia city now is just the starting point today of a truly great journey ahead. Numbers have opened a new horizon, and you cannot stop when you have only touched the outer shell. You feel the urge from deep within your soul calling you now to move and collect the pieces of knowledge scattered across the sea. 4 years passed in Bugia city. Like a dream of light today, you are no longer a teenager, but a young man with firm eyes and a heart full of many numbers and many complex rules. Your father looks with great pride. He sees your new maturity now, and a capacity he never expected. He knows it is time now for his son to sail alone, to test what was learned today in the reality of long journeys. You begin to pack your notebooks, full of Hindu Arabic symbols now, the most precious treasures you have from this warm and ancient land. Every page of parchment you fold contains lessons learned from hard work, discoveries that change your whole mind. You touch the rough leather cover of the notebook in your hands, feeling the weight of knowledge now, sitting firmly in your palm today. You know the next journey is not going to be very easy. There will be many great storms. There will be much deep doubt, but you have a compass now. The Hindu Arabic system has become a part of your own flesh, a part of your own breath. You are no longer afraid of the darkness or of getting lost, because you know how to count the stars and measure your dreams. The day you left Bugia city, there was no wind at all. The sea was flat like glass, reflecting the very deep blue sky. You stand on the harbor pier, looking at the school one last time as it changed your life. The white domes still stand there, peaceful and containing many great wonders. You take a deep breath now of the hot air one last time to record it in memory. You walk slowly toward the ship, which is preparing to lift anchor for a journey across the sea. The iron chains clank steadily now, like the heartbeat of a heart, eager for many new things today. You step onto the ship's side, feeling the gentle vibration of wind starting to blow into the sails. Sailors are busy with many ropes. Their shouts echo in the early air. You find a quiet place to sit at the back of the hip, where you see the harbor now gradually getting smaller behind you today. The candles of knowledge are lit in your mind, and you carry that fire to enter stranger lands where the problems of the world are waiting for your own decoding. The darkness of black night begins to give way to first dawn as the ship glides on water. You lean against the ship's side, watching the V-shaped ripples now spreading out from the backside, creating a perfect mathematical model today. In the heart of the ocean, you feel the movement of life, moving toward the lands of Egypt and toward the lands of Syria, where more secrets of the numbers are hidden in the old libraries and in the busy market squares. The waves hit the ship hull like a gentle and soft lullaby, bringing you into a deep thought. You close your eyes very gently to let Hindu Arabic numbers dance in your mind like many stars. The ship continues to the east, carrying a traveler who has now a mission to change all civilization. You feel a cold sea breeze signaling a change in the weather as you leave North Africa today to head toward the Levant ports. Part 3. Traveling the Mediterranean to collect mathematics. 1185. 1199. The scent of the Mediterranean Sea has now become your very breath. It weaves into every single fiber of your merchant cloak today. It crystallizes into tiny white grains on your suntanned skin now. You are no longer that boy standing on the Pisa harbor pier, watching seagulls fly far away now. You have become a vital part of this vast and deep ocean. The merchant ship of Pisa Republic glides on the dark blue water like a shuttle weaving a carpet, connecting all the great continents. You stand at the ship's bow, feeling the steady vibrations of wood as they cut the silver waves. Beneath your feet in dark cabin are rolls of fabrics and wool from the Tuscany region waiting now to be traded for fine silk, spices, and many Eastern treasures today. But in your mind right now, the most precious cargo you carry is the intense longing for numbers. You realize you are a conduit, a bridge connecting realms of knowledge, divided by faith and by geography. In the year 1185, the world is a chessboard of many truly great ambitions now, where crusaders swing their sharp swords in the distant and mysterious East. But you choose to swing pens on many sheets of old parchment. Your motivation does not come from the glory of the battlefield today. It comes from absolute efficiency now of the Hindu-Arabic system. It is like a small seed which has sprouted in your soul. And now you travel sea paths to collect drops of pure wisdom, preparing for a grand harvest now that will change all of Europe. Let your imagination drift to Egypt, land of pharaohs and Muslim scholars. You walk through the busy souks of the ancient city of Alexandria. The scent of saffron and incense and leather fills the heavy air. Shouts in dozens of languages create a chaotic and yet lively sound. You sit cross-legged in corners of the quiet and dusty library. Before you are the Arabic manuscripts, with lines like the Nile River. Here you learn how international merchants handle mountains of accounting books quickly. You see them convert complex currencies from gold dinars to silver dirhams with a truly amazing precision today. Everything is based on 9 digits, and that one sacred digit 0. You ask why Europe still struggles with Boeotian abacus boards, while here people decode the universe using only ink and paper today. Leaving Egypt, the ship brings you to the ancient land of Syria, land of limestone and sharp minds. Syria, sun tastes like desert, dry, cracking your lips, but making minds become clear in a strange way. Here, you do not just learn about the simple science of numbers. You learn geometry and land surveys. You watch surveyors calculate the area of many fields after flood seasons. They use formulas never heard of back home in the city Pisa. You see them apply math now to create many perfect stone domes without any cumbersome and long steps. Every problem you collect in Syria is a new piece of the puzzle for the picture of powerful math. You continue the journey to Greece, where ghosts of Euclid and Archimedes haunt the marble halls of Byzantium. Greece welcomes you with cool winds from the blue Aegean Sea now. You do not learn fast numbers. You learn the rigor of logic. You immerse yourself in geometric proofs, rigorous arguments, where every single step is absolutely undeniable to the mind. You realize if Arabic math is the hot blood of practical use, then Greek math is the skeleton of human reason and deep logic. The combination of these two worlds creates a brand new power now, a balance of what and why. Feel the change of the weather as the ship heads towards Sicily, the jewel of the Mediterranean Sea. Islamic and Greek and Latin cultures live together in a magical blend. You walk the streets of Palermo, feeling the cold of stone walls, Norman architecture hiding many delicate and very intricate Arabic patterns today. Here you meet many busy translators, converting scientific texts from Arabic language into the formal Latin language now. You join many academic circles today, where debates last through the night. You see, math is not rules. It is a living, breathing being, changing and growing through the friction of many different opposing viewpoints today. Having been introduced there to this art with an amazing teaching method, by means of the 9 figures of the Indians, I loved the knowledge of such an art, to such an extent above all arts, and so much did I devote myself to it with my intellect, that I learned with very earnest application, and through the technique of contradiction, anything to be studied concerning it and its various methods used in Egypt, in Syria, in Greece, in Sicily, and in Provence places I have later visited for commerce. Every word you write contains the heartbeat of a traveler who found his faith in the eternal numbers. You look back at Roman numerals, learned in the city of Pisa, with a gentle and light irony. It is like an old coat which has become far too tight, hindering the growth of the body. You see European merchants still wrestling with numbers like 174 or 1998, and you realize it is a waste of human intellect. You reject the old to celebrate the elegance of the Hindu people. But all this even, and the algorithm, as well as the art of Pythagoras, I considered as almost a mistake in respect to the method of the Hindus right now. Your greatest awakening in these years is the discovery of algebra. In Syria and in Egypt today, you found the treasures of Al-Khwarizmi, the man who changed all mathematics. From counting tangible things into seeking for many invisible and hidden quantities, you are fascinated with Al-Jabr and the concept of Al-Muqabala. You realize that quadratic equations are not just problems on paper, they are laws of the universe. You see beauty in how unknowns gradually reveal themselves through logic steps. Algebra gives you brand new eyes, a way to see through surfaces, to see the core structure beneath. You do not stop at theory. You are the son of Guglielmo. Merchant blood in your veins forces you to turn everything into practice. You collect thousands of real problems, calculating the purity of mixed gold, dividing profits fairly between many partners, with different capital in risky trips. You study interest rates and price, fluctuations between many busy seaports, how to convert weights from Italian, Libra, to the Arabic rattle today. Every problem is a short story, and every solution is a key to open the doors of prosperity. You are weaving a safety net for the future economy of world, where the transparency of numbers will replace the ambiguity of emotional estimates today. In the year 1199, standing on a shore in Provence, watching waves hit southern French cliffs, you realize your journey of collection has reached its final and last end point for your curious mind. You are no longer a seeker. You have become a great keeper. 15 years of travel made you a living library of all things, the owner of the greatest treasure Europe has ever known till now. You look at the horizon where your home Pisa lies waiting now, behind the high and snowy mountains. A restless feeling enters your heart. You know you carry the seeds that can green a dry continent. Your Europe stands before a threshold. City-states are flourishing and trading, but they walk on wooden legs. of the outdated Roman numeral system. You feel a heavy responsibility now. You cannot keep these secrets alone. You must write them all down. You must systematize the whole knowledge. You must make it a language that every merchant and scholar understands. The transformation in you is complete, from a merchant moving along seas to a great thinker and synthesizer. Bells from a nearby monastery echo in the silence of the evening, somber and very quiet in spirit. You take a very deep breath, smelling lavender fields of the Provence region, mixed with the salt of sea. You know that tomorrow, the ship will lift anchor to bring you back to the city of Pisa. You touch the thick notebooks now, lying in your travel luggage today. They contain a whole life of travel and a civilization waiting now to be awakened by your words. You are not afraid of the future because you know these numbers are eternal and never-changing truth. You walk on the fine sand, feeling the gentle sinking of feet. Your footprints on the sand will soon be erased by the waves. But the marks of knowledge you leave on parchment will last centuries. You stop before the ship's side, looking at the darkness covering sea. Absolute silence covers the whole space. Only the long sigh of ocean. You walk up the wooden bridge, feeling the familiar rocking as ship receives the weight of your body. Lanterns on the deck flicker tonight, like a guiding star in dark, promising a safe return to home. Part 4. Returning to Pisa and realizing the opportunity. 1201. You step down from the pier, feeling the vibrations of rough stones under your feet after many days and nights floating on the waves. The smell of the Arno River flowing through the heart of city, a blend of fresh mud and green moss, and the familiar smell surrounding you at this very moment. Pisa in the year 1200 appears before your very eyes now as a giant oil painting today, bright and full of great pride, under the pale Tuscany sun now. You stand there amidst the crowd of noisy sailors and the porters and wives waiting for their husbands, feeling like a complete stranger now in the very land of birth. You are not the teenager who left many long years ago because you carry in luggage and mind a completely different world of numbers built with 9 digits and 0. You look up at the towers, reaching high into the bright sky, looking at the busy maritime republic at the height of its power, where every breath of the people tastes like money and fierce competition. The prosperity of your hometown now is truly amazing, with ships full of silk and spices from east, constantly pouring into the busy harbor, turning Pisa into a power center. Its citizens are brave, and they have neither king nor prince to whom they owe obedience. But while observing the flow of huge money, you suddenly realize today a bitter and very ironic truth. Money was flowing, merchants were getting wealthy, and all of them were still calculating with Roman numerals and abacuses. Its streets teemed with merchants, artisans, and scholars. Yet its intellectual landscape remained largely untouched by the mathematical advancements Leonardo had witnessed. You stand quietly by custom counters, where an accountant is sweating now, trying to add long number rows written in rigid characters I, V, X, and L. The wooden beads on the abacus board click together, like heavy iron chains of an old and outdated system of thought. You feel a deep pity now, seeing the sharpest minds of Europe, imprisoned in a rusty mathematical armor. Accurate calculation was essential for profit and survival. Yet the methods available were crude. Roman numerals hindered quick computation. Performing even the simplest arithmetical operations with a non-positional notation was a difficult endeavor. For this task, the merchants were forced to resort to the abacus. Merchants kept abacuses nearby because doing arithmetic with Roman numerals required physical computing devices. You see through the wooden beads to see a stagnation of the entire civilization right now. If a simple calculation takes hours, how can they calculate compound interest for ships away for many years? How can they divide profits fairly among dozens of partners with different contributions in their long, risky trips? The Hindu-Arabic number system was not just more efficient, it was fundamentally superior. It enabled mathematics that Roman numerals made nearly impossible. And in a city of merchants, anyone who could calculate faster, more accurately with less effort would have an enormous advantage. That evening, when you were reunited with your father Guglielmo Bonacci now, in the old family house today, you began recounting your great discoveries. You spread parchment sheets before him, using black ink to draw symbols and the magical circle of zero. Upon reuniting with his father Guglielmo, Leonardo began recounting his discoveries. He demonstrated its power through practical examples. You see your father's eyes. He changed from amazement to understanding, and finally, a glimmer of hope. He is a very practical man. He knows better than anyone today the value of speed in trade. However, he also warned you about the walls of prejudice surrounding Pisa. At the peak of the Crusades, anything with a breath of Arabic or Islamic culture was viewed today with a very deep suspicion. Roman numerals were deeply ingrained in European thought. Change, especially one linked to Arabic culture, met with suspicion. You feel the cold from scholars in the monasteries who saw math as a pure intellectual game today, not a tool to change life. But that resistance fanned the flames of determination inside your own soul. You understand that words will never be enough to break the chains. You need something more eternal now, more powerful and able to travel much farther than your own steps. Leonardo understood that oral explanations would not suffice to spread the Hindu-Arabic numeral system across Europe. He needed a written work that could travel farther than he ever could. Books in 1200 were rare and expensive. Each copy was painstakingly written by hand. But progress requires clear, accessible teaching. Leonardo resolved to write a comprehensive book. This decision marked a turning point. He was writing for merchants, for the men who dealt in currency, exchange, compound interest, profit calculations, partnership, agreements, the men who needed practical mathematics every day. You spend long, sleepless nights by candlelight when Pisa city fell asleep to systematize all. You collected from Egypt, Syria, Greece, and Sicily. You feel the weight of the pen in your hand, the sound of ink on parchment, like the whispers of the future. You are planting the first seeds of a silent and great revolution. You start with the basic concepts, teaching them to write 9 digits and how to use zero now as a fulcrum for the world. You include thousands of real problems, recorded during your long travel journeys. You explain fractions and ratio calculations, how to determine the purity of gold coins, very transparently now. Every chapter you finish is a brick, building the bridge, connecting worlds. You are not a son of Pisa or a guest of East. You are a servant of truth. Numbers have no religion or nationality. They only have the absolute truth. And that truth will free people from the fog of many ambiguities. Imagine the flickering light of candles, reflecting on pure white parchment sheets, where new numbers begin to dance. You feel a truly great loneliness, but not the loneliness of sadness, but of a scout seeing dawn before anyone else in the world. You know that this book now, which you name Liber Abaci today, will be a shock to banking. You are preparing to end one era and open a new chapter. The period of 1200 today was the gestation of a masterpiece, where genius meets practical thinking now to create an incomparable power today. Every drop of ink on parchment is like blood of intellectual birth. You carefully revise every single algorithm, ensuring even the busiest merchant now can understand and apply it today. You do not just teach calculation, you teach a new worldview, a world where everything can be quantified and transparent and predicted now. You see your shadow in pages, a traveler carrying light from east to warm the hometown still lost in the mist of old ways. Your silent efforts between four walls will soon echo through the centuries. Outside the window, the Arno River, waves still hit the sleeping ships. Pisa City did not yet know of the revolution prepared under candlelight. Merchants still dream of gold today, without knowing that the key now to the eternal treasure is formed through the words of young Leonardo. You smile alone in the dark, a smile of patience and faith in the power of true knowledge. You know that time will be your most loyal companion today, now, and one day, every abacus board will be in the past museum. You put the pen down now, feeling the fatigue of your fingers after a hard night of work. The first dawn of 1200, and one begins to rise today on the far eastern horizon now, dyeing the Tuscany sky in pink. You stretch and breathe cold air of the early morning feeling energy flowing through your own veins. Now, your work has only just begun, and the first pages of the Liber Abaci are waiting for truth. You are at the start today of a journey greater than any sea voyage you have ever taken. You walk slowly toward the window, looking at the harbor waking up with the noisy sounds of day. Ships begin to lift their anchors. Porters carry heavy cargo on their shoulders. You watch a merchant ship glide out toward the vast and deep blue ocean in the far distance. You return to your writing desk, where parchment stacks lie like promises of a very bright future today. You sit on the wooden chair, touching the smooth surface of parchment. Birds chirp outside the porch today as gentle encouragement for your work. You pick up the pen now, dip it into the black ink, and start writing the next lines for a new chapter of knowledge. Part 5. Completing the great book named Liber Abaci, 1202, 1205. You feel the light roughness of your fingertips right now as the last black ink streaks begin to dry and harden into a thin film. This film covers your skin, which is calloused from holding pens for many long months. The strong scent of ink, a blend of soot and resin and clear egg whites, fills your small room in Pisa like a misty fog of ancient and hidden knowledge. The pure white parchment sheets are now filled with rows of winding letters and numbers with strange and magical shapes. They lie there very still, yet they are quite powerful, like soldiers waiting for orders to conquer an entire continent. You take a deep breath, feeling your chest expand as you look at the manuscript lying on the table today. This is not just a book for you to read. This is the true essence of 15 years of travel. It is your firm answer to the stagnation of Europe, sleeping in the dark shadow of bulky Roman numeral symbols. You remember the tired faces of merchants at the harbors who spent their whole lives struggling with symbols like I, V, X, and L today. They tried to use heavy stone blocks to build towers of high and grand intellect. That old system ruled for far too long, like a disease or an invisible chain, hindering the flow of prosperity. You see physical abacus boards, where wooden beads click loudly, sliding along many horizontal grooves. Every movement forces humans to rely on matter for thinking, instead of freeing the mind. How can civilizations reach out to the whole world when simple multiplication is a battle? Roman numerals lack any movement. They lack the breadth of position and presence of void. They are stationary stone tablets, while your trade world moves at the speed of sails. But now, in 1202, everything will change. You name your masterpiece, Liber Abaci, or the Book of Calculation, which sounds very humble, but contains a great revolution. You do not honor the old abacus with this name. You announce the era end. From the very first pages, you introduce the 10 symbols brought from the mysterious East. These are the 9 figures of the Indians. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. With these 9 figures, and with the sign 0, which in Arabic is called Zephyrum, any number can be written, as is demonstrated below. You pause for a long time at the word Zephyrum. 0 is a small circle, but it contains the universe. You feel a gentle trembling in your soul as you realize its truly great scale. 0 is not absolute nothingness. It is a vital fulcrum. It is a magical placeholder, allowing digits to move and change value by their position. Thanks to Zephyrum, you represent 10 by placing 1 beside the emptiness of the small circle. You write millions and billions with few elegant pen strokes. The decimal system you present is a language of freedom. It allows calculations on paper without any physical tools used. You give your brother's eyes to see order in numbers. Your hand moves slowly over pages explaining many complex fractions. You smile when introducing the fraction bar, an elegant stroke separating numerator and denominator now. You discard complex brackets and wordy styles of the past for clarity and pure logic. Math must be beautiful and graceful, like cathedral dome patterns. You include the clever method of casting out nines here, helping accountants check results quickly. You present the rule of false position making unknowns near through bridge of logical arguments. Every chapter is a brick, building an unshakable knowledge fort. The heart of this book is not in dry theory, but in busy market squares and banks rising in Italy. You are the son of Guglielmo and understand that knowledge lives when solving human pain. From chapter 8 to 11, you write, "For the merchants facing chaos of money daily." You list conversion tables between Pisa, Genoa, Venice, and ports of the Arabic maritime world. You teach the purity of gold and silver in alloys, ensuring no cheater can ever deceive a holder of Liber Abaci in their daily trade. You are immersed in compound interest, profit rates, and capital division in the merchant trading associations. You weave a fair net where every partner receives exactly what they contributed to trips. Your book lays the foundations for a sophisticated banking system now where capital grows very transparently. You feel vibrations of future as these Hindu-Arabic numbers turn Italy into financial centers, starting a renaissance of thought. Amidst the very practical math, you challenge the reader's mind with something much more gentle. In chapter 12, you insert the problem of the rabbits, a simple recreational math puzzle. You sit quietly at night, imagining a pair of rabbits locked in a walled space. You ask the famous question, a certain man put a pair of rabbits in a place surrounded on all sides by a wall. How many pairs of rabbits can be produced from that pair in a year? You write out the numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 30, 4, 55, 89, 100, 44, 230, 377. You watch their recursion with a quiet and deep interest. Every number is the sum of two numbers before it, as if the future carries the breath of the past. You did not know that. Your pen touched a code of the great Mother Nature. You did not know the ratio approaches the golden ratio, hidden in the sunflower seeds, in the nautilus shell curves, or spirals of distant galaxies. You only saw logical magic, the multiplication of life through the lens of pure math. This is a great paradox of your whole life journey. You changed European accounting systems, but the future remembers you for these small multiplying rabbits. Finishing the manuscript in 1205 brings emptiness, but also a deep satisfaction. You know this book meets resistance from conservative old scholars who cling to their abacuses. Clerics may doubt the knowledge from the distant Islamic world, but you are not afraid. The power of efficiency is an undeniable and absolute truth. You are a planter of seeds who finish the work in the field of knowledge. You wait for a harvest lasting for many long centuries. Your book travels farther than the ships of your father. It slips through monastery doors and fills the merchant's stalls, changing how humans think today. Amidst the quiet glory, you keep a very deep humility. You look at the manuscript and realize it is only a drop in the ocean. You write in the preface, "If by chance I have omitted anything more or less proper or necessary, I beg forgiveness, since there is no one who is without fault and circumspect in all matters. That confession is not insecurity, but respect for the truth you pursued your whole life. Evening bells from Pisa Church begin to ring very slowly, signaling the end of work. You put your quill back on the wooden pen stand, cleaning ink from the table. Sunset dyes the parchment pink, creating a sacred beauty, as if the numbers were glowing. You feel an absolute peace, covering your whole tired soul. A relief of finishing mission, bringing light from the east to warm your own hometown. You are no longer just Leonardo Pisano, but a part of history and a hinge, connecting two very different eras. You stand from the chair, legs feeling a bit numb from sitting for too long. You walk to the window, looking at the city square, where shadows fade in twilight. Oil lamps are being lit, twinkling like stars on earth. You take your cloak now, tossing it over your shoulder, and prepare to breathe the cold Tuscany evening air today. You feel a strange serenity, as if every question found its answer and every calculation found its own perfect balance. You walk slowly from room, touching Liber Abaci one last time as a final goodbye. Your footsteps echo steadily on, the stone stairs creating rhythm. In the falling dark night, you head toward the heavy wooden door of the house, feeling the early seasonal wind blowing through the door cracks. You push the door open, blending into the pale darkness of alleys toward the center. Moonlight appears behind the clouds, casting shadows on red roofs. You walk between the boundaries of the present and future, feeling the weight of knowledge in your own brilliant mind. Old streets still stand there, but from now on, they are seen through new numbers and through new natural laws. You keep walking as shoes hit the blue stone path, creating dry and rhythmic sounds, leading you into the heart of a city waking up with a great math revolution. Part 6. Diving into pure mathematics and theory. 1206, 1224. The pale night dew of Tuscany begins to fade away, making way for soft dawn. Through wooden window slit of the quiet and still workroom, you feel the lingering cold of early morning caressing cheeks, blending with old parchment scent and strong smell of ink, which has become very familiar. 2 decades have passed since your first great book appeared, and now, around the years 1206 to 1224, you notice shifts, silent but intense in soul. You are no longer that busy youth at Bugia harbor, or Egypt calculating profits for crates of many diverse goods. He lived as a private scholar and a mathematical writer. Numbers, once sharp trade tools, now tell you stories about the nature of true existence. These later works were more theoretical, less focused on immediate commercial application, exploring problems for their own sake and merit. In the quiet of room, you glide on invisible bridges, connecting reality with far horizons. You hear the scratch of quill on the parchment surface, sound like a steady heartbeat of thought, reminding you that every symbol you write is a brick for the temple of great and noble intellect. Word of Liber Abaci reached universities and cathedral schools now. You feel a serene joy, that scholars from southern France, Sicily, or northern Italy discuss your new and amazing methods. These intellectual exchanges sharpen soul, preparing for much deeper discoveries in geometry and in algebra that world has not seen. Feel the weight of the manuscript forming under your hands in the year 1220 now. You dedicate this to Dominicus Hispanus, a dear philosopher friend. He shared thoughts on space and its truly perfect form. Spirit of Euclid and Archimedes is present in every page, guiding you through the maze of theorems and their proofs. You are not just copier, but a great synthesizer here. Joining logic with Arabic practice, you stand on the shoulders of many ancient giants today to see the eternal laws of all the physical shapes. Your book is like a perfect architectural painting divided into 8 strict chapters covering knowledge of basic terms of Euclidean geometry and geometrical practice today. You guide measuring surface area and formulas for plane shapes and for complex solid figures. You imagine builders and architects standing before high soaring towers, using similar triangles to calculate the height of tall objects with a truly absolute precision. Math is no longer dry, symbols on the parchment paper. It is breadth of buildings, strength of walls, and beauty of the great cathedral domes. But you do not stop at the many tangible uses. Your heart seeks geometrical subtleties, which are hidden and mysterious. You spend long nights by candlelight calculating sides of pentagon and the decagon from diameter of the circumscribed and inscribed circles. Every calculation is a dialogue with the concept of perfection as you approximate constant pi using method of ancient Archimedes. You feel vibration of beauty, realizing space has rules that eyes cannot see, but mind can reach with deep thought. You applied algebra to the solution of geometrical problems, which was a radically innovative technique for 13th century Europe today. When you embed a square into an equilateral triangle and use algebra to find sides, you find a new horizon. You joined theoretical Hellenes and algebraic traditions of the Arabs, establishing them firmly in Europe. There are no more borders between numbers and shapes. Everything blends in a symphony of logic and of aesthetics. You are like a jeweler, polishing every stone of knowledge to create a royal crown for the human intellect today. Life is like a river, flowing in deep thought now. Sometimes people in Pisa see you walk by Arno River with a very distant gaze. They call you the Bigolo. In Tuscany dialect, it might mean absent-minded or distracted, but for you it means absence from worldly troubles, to be present in world ideas. You are a wanderer in, mind-exploring irrationals that Euclid touched only with geometry. You wrote a commentary on Book 10 of Euclid's Elements containing a numerical treatment of irrationals from an arithmetic point today. Though you know these pages might be lost in time, you still write with diligence. Every line is silent devotion to the absolute and final truth of the entire world. You face the quadratic equations and analyze their multiple solutions. With great skill and cleverness, you prepare sharp tools for solving complex indeterminate problems, which only the best minds dare. Though soul flies in theory, You keep affection for roots through a small book, D minor, Gisa, serving the practical needs. During these years of work, you did not know. The torch of knowledge you hold started shining in high places. Word of your great wisdom reached court of the emperor, Frederick II of Rome. Frederick became aware of Fibonacci through the scholars at court who had corresponded with him since his return to Pisa around 1200 years ago. Philosophers like Theodorus Physicus or astrologer Michael Scotus sent problems as a challenge for the greatest Christian mathematician of Middle Ages in the entire world. You feel change in air as winds from the south carry invitations from Golden Palace. All research in 2 decades, all mental and quiet preparation was for this single moment. You are the cornerstone of a new beginning of applied mathematics in Europe now. Solitude of a scholar yields to mission of a master respected by the whole empire. You smile at yellow parchment, knowing every dot and line has power to change future. Let irrational numbers and perfect pentagons fade into your sleep as you feel absolute serenity of mind finding true freedom. You no longer worry about doubt or prejudice of error because truth has its life. Darkness of the room becomes warm and very peaceful now, like a cocoon wrapping you after long and deep journeys. You breathe very slowly now, feeling the soft pulse of time passing in ancient Pisa, where numbers change the world. You place hand on cover of the Practica Geometriae feeling, warmth from your own soul. Wind blows through the window, carrying scent of lavender flowers, bringing you into absolute stillness. You close your eyes gently to let the similar triangles and equations dance once more before the soft night comes. You know a bright chapter waits for you at court. You stand from the chair, legs walking slowly on cool stone slabs of the floor. You move toward the bed, where rest waits to restore energy for a great mind. You feel yourself drifting now, no longer on a ship, but on the flow of history where your name stays, as light for Western math. You lie down gently now, feeling soft wool blanket covering your weary body. Church bells echo from afar, steady and somber like a good night wish for travelers of numbers in the dark. You let breath join rhythms of the night and enter dreams where shapes and algebra merge into one single entity. Part 7. Meeting and Impressing Emperor Frederick, 1225, 1227. You stand in Pisa Square on a spring morning of 1225, feeling the air vibrating with resounding brass trumpets and rhythmic drum beats, signaling a god appearing among all mortal men. Emperor Frederick II, honored as Stupor Mundi, the wonder of the world, enters the city with a magnificent entourage from the Arabian Nights. You see giant elephants walking and dromedary camels carrying silks and exotic beasts from the Far East you only heard about from many traveling sailors. Frederick is not just an emperor. He is a son of knowledge burning the mist of medieval and old conservatism. He brings the breath of the royal court of Palermo a brilliant crossroads where Christians, Muslims, and Jews sit together to decode stars and numbers. You feel a gentle excitement flowing through your own veins, but not fear of power, rather the thrill of a mind finding a worthy opponent. Your fame as the son of the merchant Fibonacci has crossed the walls of Pisa, reaching this very learned emperor. You know Michael Scotus, the royal astrologer, with deep eyes, seeing through the whole future, mentioned your name in the palace during their private talks. You also remember your friend, Dominicus Hispanus, the philosopher who trusted and proposed a meeting between you and Frederick today. In a world divided by bloody and long crusades, you and Frederick build an invisible bridge of human reason, where knowledge has no borders and truth has no specific religion. Let your body relax as you enter the royal residence in Pisa, where the scent blends with the leather smell of notebooks and the sweat of courtiers waiting in silence. You see Frederick II sitting upon the golden throne, a man of 30 with red golden hair and piercing blue eyes, making others tremble. But when looking at you, those eyes are not threatening, but show the longing of a scholar seeking the truth. Around him are wise men, the best mathematicians of empire, and the leader is Johannes of Palermo, who will give challenges to test your talent. Johannes steps forward holding a parchment, looking with hidden defiance. The first problem he gives is not currency exchange math you did at the harbor, but a question of balance. Find a square number which, being increased or diminished by 5, gives a square number. You close your eyes, letting the numbers dance in darkness. You do not see bulky Roman numerals, but rules of odd numbers and congruent structures. You reason that square numbers arise from the increasing sequence of odd numbers where addition creates a constant shape evolution. X squared plus 5 equals y squared, and x squared minus 5 equals z squared. You take a deep breath, feeling the absolute silence here, where even the emperor's breath seems to stop for you. You present your solution with a very calm confidence today. You offer the number 40, 1 over 12, and prove its square is the key. When you write the equations, you see Johannes and scholars squinting their eyes in amazement. The number 49 over 12 squared minus the quantity 41 over 12 squared equals the number 41 over 12 squared minus the number 31 over 12 squared, which equals 5 today. The sophistication of using congruum is a breakthrough that even Arabic sources never mention clearly. You do not just solve, you show indeterminate analysis, turning unknowns into living entities. But Johannes does not stop. He gives a second challenge, a complex cubic equation from the great scholars of East, $x cubed plus $2 x squared plus $10 x equals 20. X cubed plus 2x squared plus 10x equals the whole number 20. You realize traditional methods of Euclid with square roots are powerless against this entity. It is like using an oar to measure the ocean. You do not seek a radical solution, but use wisdom from the ancient base 60 system of the Babylonians instead. You perform approximations with a truly extraordinary and great precision. Each number appears on parchment. 1, 22, 7, 40, 2, 33, 4, 40. In decimal, this equals 1.3688081075, accurate to 9 places. You see surprise on the face of the royal emperor. Frederick smiles with true recognition for the greatest mind of this whole historical era today. The final challenge is an indeterminate problem about dividing assets among 3 men with ratios of 1/2, 1/3, and 1/6. You solve it with the grace of a musician playing his harp, turning conflicts into mathematical harmony. You stand there in Palermo, feeling like more than just a son of a merchant, but a conduit of truth, bringing light of algebra to the royal mind's dark corners. Frederick II stands up from the throne and places a hand on your shoulder. That is the highest honor, a recognition that your work is worthy of imperial patronage. The intellectual stimulation from this meeting urged you to write your next and great masterpieces. You finish the work floss as a tribute to him. You call algebra the most radiant flower of all mathematics, where beauty is pure logic. And more importantly, in 1225, you complete the Liber Quadratorum about the Diophantine equations. Pierre de Fermat would follow centuries later in time. You prove the identity of Brahmagupta Fibonacci, showing the magical interaction between sums of squares. You stand at the peak of a mountain of knowledge, seeing the past of Diophantus and the future of math. Every line in the letter, to Master Theodore or preface, for Frederick carries silent pride. You prove that mathematics is not just counting or measuring, but a language of power. You look at court scholars, studying your methods, and realize that through you, new math officially entered the empire's structure. You hold no fixed office, but your prestige became a cornerstone for new beginnings. You are a seed sower, finishing missions on noble lands, waiting for knowledge to spread. Feel the serenity as you walk in marble palace halls, where silver moonlight reflects on the fountains in the garden. You hear a falcon cry on top of the tower, a reminder of thought freedom. You no longer worry about the doubt of scholastic scholars, because the emperor is with you in this great quest. The night in Pisa is gentle and promising, like white parchment waiting for new equations. You take a deep breath, feeling sea salt and roses from the royal garden tonight, letting your soul drift away into a state of peace. You realize this meeting changed your destiny forever and ever. From a traveler collecting knowledge, you became a respected master. The name Leonardo Pisano is linked with Stupor Mundi, creating a legend that time cannot erase from human history books. You are a solid bridge, connecting civilizations, where every number you write confirms human mind before the mysteries of universe. You smile in the dark, a smile of deep satisfaction, knowing you touch the essence of the flower of mathematics. You walk slowly from the main hall of the palazzo, feeling the cold night breeze through your thin merchant cloak. Your footsteps echo on smooth, stones leading through quiet gardens where exotic animals are sleeping. You head toward the gate, where distant lanterns flicker like stars leading to your room. You push the heavy iron, gate hearing the hinge shriek, a dry sound in night. Your eyes follow an owl, gliding in the night sky, before you walk into the darkness of alleys toward home. Part 8. Becoming an accounting advisor for the Republic of Pisa, 1228, 1239. You sit quietly by the familiar window of your study. In Pisa, late in the year 1228, feeling the warmth of the sun slowly disappearing behind red roofs, leaving a pale orange light stretching over stacks of parchment. The scent of the time, a blend of decaying wood, old ink, and the salt of coastal air, surrounds you. It is a reminder of a long journey now completed. On the table is the second edition of Liber Abaci. It is now finally complete. The pure white pages of 1202 are kept replaced by deeper, more mature sentences written by your hand. You glide your hand over the leather cover with satisfaction of a craftsman who finished polishing the diamond of life. New material has been added, from which superfluous has been removed to sharpen the tool. You dedicate this masterpiece to Michael Scott, the royal astrologer, to honor minds that understood you in a skeptical world. The completion of the book marks a brand new chapter in your own long life. You are no longer just a lonely scholar in towers. You begin to step out toward the busy market squares and customs offices of Pisa. The pulse of the economy is fast, but full of many knots from the past. You see merchants still struggling, with Roman numerals heavy as large stones blocking their way. You see accountants sweating over physical abacus boards for simple and very basic arithmetic tasks. You feel the silent pain of a commerce seeking growth, but shackled by ancient systems. With the book in hand and patience in your heart, you begin as an advisor. You are a silent teacher, bringing light of the Hindus to free your own people. Feel the coolness of stone beneath your feet in markets, where church bells ring daily. You do not ask pay, serving as an informal advisor, because knowledge is a gift. You spend many long hours sitting beside the busy merchants, teaching the 9 Hindu digits from 1 to 9, and the sacred 0 called Zephyrum. You see amazement on faces as they realize that only 10 simple symbols manage gold. You plant seeds of transparency into a booming local economy, turning complex matrices into formulas. Your work is a blend of theory and financial management. You guide the customs officials to value and exchange goods fairly in complex barter deals. You use the rule of 3 to solve ratio problems, helping merchants calculate true value of silk from the East. Every number on the parchment is an assertion of order, a bridge over sea risks. You are like a musician tuning a very giant instrument so money and goods harmonize. In mint offices full of metal smoke and hammer sounds, you are a god of absolute and true precision today. You teach officials to calculate The alloy concentrations and ratios of silver mixed with copper to create stable Pisan coins. You explain simple interest and also complex compound interest now. You turn abstract time concepts into many transparent profit formulas. Thanks to your expert advice, the European credit system begins the process of mathematical modeling. You create a foundation for future great banking families today. You do not just count, you teach them to see the future through recursive numbers. However, your journey is not always covered in red roses. You feel resistance from clerks who are very conservative men. They spent lives with Romans. They view zero with suspicion, fearing that small circles become 6 or 9 with ink. You listen with deep tolerance because efficiency will dispel prejudice. You prove the calculation speed and the absolute true precision that the new system brings. You build a new tradition where masters of the abacus establish schools for young merchants. You create a silent army of intellects to conquer trade. 12 years of silent devotion in your hometown finally crystallize into a truly great recognition. In the year 1240, under the high palace roof, a special decree was issued. You stand in simple robes, listening to formal words, praising the discreet and learned man. Master Leonardo, you are called. The decree grants an honorary salary of 20 Pisan pounds every year for your labor, in recompensationem laboris sui today. This money is not material, but a validation of status. You used intellect to serve. Theoretical math from far lands is now the nation's breath. This recognition is the end of your years of travel, bringing you to absolute peace. You no longer prove anything because the prosperity of Pisa is the best living proof. The name Leonardo Bigolo is now linked with royal wisdom. You are a steady cornerstone, supporting the tower of economy, emerging from the Middle Ages. Every calculation you ever made, every accountant you ever trained, is part of your legacy. Let images of gold coins and neat accounting books fade into the very quiet night. You feel rest covering mind. You breathe very deeply now, smelling black ink and wood. It is a scent of long and persistent intellectual labor. You no longer hear markets or hammers hitting the metal. There is only the wind, telling stories of a man who changed fate with symbols. You smile in the dark with fulfillment and strange peace. You realize your life is a truly perfect mathematical calculation. Every variable has found its place to create harmony now. You finished the conduit mission, bringing light from the east to warm the western heart. Your heart is like water, ready for the last pages. You do not fear forgetting, because numbers are eternal truths. You walk out of study, holding a small oil lamp to light the dark hallway. Your shoes hit the floor, like the pulse of mind, going into a long rest. You head to the balcony, looking at the sleeping city under the silver moonlight now. Old streets have mystic beauty, like a matrix of memories. You lean on stone rails, watching the Arno River flow toward the great deep sea. A cool breeze blows past, carrying the cold of night, but warming your free soul. You stand in cosmic silence, melting into the historical flow where numbers begin their journey. You walk back inside now, closing the wooden door gently to keep the warmth inside. You put the lamp down, blowing out the last candle, letting darkness cover the room. You head to the bed, feeling the dry straw mattress, smelling of the Tuscany countryside. You lie down, closing eyes, letting thoughts of numbers drift away into the gentle night. Part 9. Solving the last problem of his career. 1240. 1245. You feel the roughness of ancient parchment beneath your fingers, which are marked by time. Black ink from the decree of 1240 reflects the pale evening light. Scent of beeswax blends with dust in the administrative room of the Grand Palazzo building. A scent of power and storage fills the silent space. He would have been in his 60s now and old by medieval standards of life. Voyages abroad are fierce math. Contests are now distant memories. They yield to official recognition from your hometown of Pisa. The decree on the table is not just an administrative text. It is a late tribute to the man who changed how the world sees numbers. You hear the scribe's warm voice echoing in your mind. It calls you the discreet and learned man, Master Leonardo. 20 Pisan pounds per year was awarded not for theorems or discoveries about square numbers. It was for quiet service given to the whole community. You were advising the city and its citizens on issues regarding various accounting matters today. You turned numbers into tools for the creation of fairness. Leonardo was not famous in his own time, not in the way we think fame, but you became an essential part of the Pisan economy. You stand there a son of the merchant Fibonacci now. You realize that true glory is not in court applause. It lies in knowledge used for the benefit of life. Every coin in that salary carries the weight of high recognition for applied math power. However, your final problem in 1240 to 1245 was not in books. It was not in any complex cubic equations at all. It was a huge practical problem for a trading state facing the threshold of change. The last stated problem we can attribute to him appears around 1240. After that, there was silence. In that silence, you fight a difficult war against inertia of the Roman administrative system. You look at old ledgers where Roman numerals still rule as a habit of centuries. You realize changing how civilizations calculate is the hardest task. The Roman numeral system had inertia and centuries of habit, countless documents written in the old and outdated notation system, scribes trained in traditional methods. You sit in misty offices, patiently explaining to the scribes that change is truly necessary. It is needed to protect the prosperity of the city. You hear whispers of doubt that Hindu Arabic digits are easily and quickly cheated today. 4 could become 9 with a single stroke of ink. These concerns were not entirely unfounded in the real world, but you know the transparency of the new system wins. It overcomes every single risk. You spend all your mind on auditing and on estimation and on rational calculation today. This convinces the most conservative and the most traditional minds. You no longer seek unknowns. like variables x or y. Your final problem is trust. It is the shift of a social system toward eras. Municipal governments adopted improved accounting methods to manage public finances. They manage money more effectively. They track taxes and expenditures and debts with greater precision. Clients could see clear records of their transactions every day. Errors were easier to identify and to rectify with ease. Leonardo did not invent the double-entry bookkeeping system himself, but his work provided key conceptual tools that made it possible in the near future. You are laying the final bricks for a financial castle. You will never see it finished in your own lifetime. Every day passes, and you feel your strength draining away. It follows the ink drops falling on the parchment paper. You are not a traveler on the deep blue sea. You travel in data rows, bringing order to public funds. You systematize currency conversion rules and the calculation of interest. Complex algorithms become simple guides. For the future accounting professionals, you realize you are making a silent and great sacrifice. You leave high theory peaks to serve hometown and stability. He was a calculator for hire, not a banker or merchant in the big city. He solved problems for others, never making a private fortune. That devotion brings a strange peace as life's darkness covers. You look out the window, seeing the Arno River flow. It heads toward the sea, like the knowledge you triggered. 12:41 to 12:45 passed in silence. Your traces fade away from the historical chronicles of Pisa. No contemporary wrote an obituary or a memorial for you. You did not expect that. You are happy being a seed that has finally sprouted, a hinge that turned to open doors for future people. You feel a great relief knowing your books are copied. Each copy was laboriously handwritten, spreading across the European continent. Imagine a winter night in Pisa, with mountain cold entering. Your small room has one flickering candle on final pages. You put the pen down, feeling the fatigue of fingers. They joined you through millions of calculations during your life. You no longer fear oblivion, because every single future invoice or balance sheet has breath from all that you did. You dissolve into the numbers, becoming part of eternal logic, operating the entire vast universe. Silence covers the whole room, but it is not end. It is the deep silence of a truly completed work. You rise from old chair, legs trembling toward the window. You look at the starry and beautiful dark night sky. You do not count them, but feel their absolute infinity. Zero Zephyrum helped you touch this vast and deep infinity. You are a sailor docked after a truly great journey through many different ancient civilizations. You breathe the cold air of the Tuscany region deeply. You smell damp earth and salt from the distant sea. It is a perfect combination for your own long life. You smile at the name of the man Leonardo Pisano, a simple name for one who spent his whole life seeking truth in the numbers. You realize the final problem was fully and completely solved, not on any old parchment, but in your own soul. Balance of theory and practice, and of fame and use, found the final intersection point. You do not regret fortunes that you do not have, or titles you do not bear in the royal court. You possess a greater treasure, knowledge of laws of nature. You feel yourself drifting gently, like a single number placed in its own right position, in an infinite recursive sequence. Everything becomes very transparent now, clear and full of peace. You walk slowly toward the wooden bed in the corner. Wool blankets wait to warm your own thin and old body in the cold night. Your footsteps echo on stone in a very soft way, as if not to wake the absolute silence of night. You look at Liber Abaci lying peacefully on the table. This brainchild will tell the story of Hindu Arabic digits for the whole of humanity. You feel a light electricity running down your old spine. You think of future generations using these symbols to build many new and grand wonders. You blow out the last candle on the wooden table. Darkness covers the whole room in a very gentle embrace. Moonlight shines through the door, creating long streaks of light. They look like measures of the passing of human time. You move toward the bed, feeling warmth from straw mattress. It stayed with you through all your old and weary years in the city Pisa. You lie down very leisurely, watching shadows of the shapes. They fade into the void on the old stone wall. You close your eyes gently, letting your breath join wind, whistling through the window slit. Thoughts of math and decrees fade away in the distance. Only a light soul remains, having finished its role on the stage of human life. You sink into the stillness of the night in Pisa. Waves of the Arno River tell the final lullabies for the traveler of the numbers. You place hand on forehead, feeling coolness of the skin. You enter dreams where numbers are no longer parchment symbols. They are the shining stars, leading you to absolute eternity. Part 10. Vanishing completely from historical records. 1246. 1250. You sit, leaning back against an old worn wooden chair. Feel the last warm rays of the golden Tuscany sun withdrawing from your thin hands. The space around you now, around 1240, is shrouded in strange silence. Only your very gentle breath mixes with the church bells of Pisa echoing from afar. On the table, a parchment with the Pisa Republic seal lies, reflecting the pale light of the late afternoon sun. It is the only and last honorary decree from home, a document confirming your salary of 20 Pisan pounds annually. In gratitude for the silent work of the serious and learned Master Leonardo Bigolo today, you slide your finger over the name Bigolo carried through thousands of miles of travel. In your ears, the whispers about the wanderer or the absent-minded one are now only a distant melody today. It no longer ripples through the deep waters of soul. You smile with absolute tolerance for those seeing only the surface of a brilliant mind, belonging to the distant stars and the eternal math equations. You feel the heavy weight of time pressing on shoulders, like a very thick fog, covering memories of Frederick's court or busy North African markets. After that 1240 decree, every single door of history seemed to shut before you. You walk in your house, feeling the presence of unnamed voids. No laughter of many children, no warmth of a wife, no records indicate marriage or children in your private life. You devoted your whole existence to the study of numbers, becoming a conduit of knowledge until your very last breath. A question echoes in mind in the silent black night. Can a man truly vanish when leaving seeds of knowledge for an entire human civilization? Silence of history about death is an amazing and strange paradox of a perfect erasure, which you yourself desired now. Let your body relax completely as you enter late years of 1240. You find yourself walking on green grass of the Camposanto. Feel the cold sea breeze, bringing scent of damp earth and the feeling of eternity. You no longer need to write any more new theorems. You no longer need to prove the superiority of the Hindu-Arabic system. Everything is now fully complete. You look at your hands, where your true appearance fades into the dust and sand. You know no authentic sources will record your true face. You become a ghost in the heart of flourishing city. The man who revolutionized European mathematics simply disappears from the documentary record in absolute peace. Silence of 1241 to 1250 is like a song without any lyrics. Every rest is a mystery, without any answer forever today. What was the state of his health or his wealth? What were his political views? All these things are meaningless before the beauty of void. You dissolve into historical darkness, leaving behind a massive legacy, sprouting in busy trade offices and the various accounting schools. You are a traveler who reached the final harbor today, removing the dusty worldly cloak to enter absolute rest now. No more calculations or equations, only the stillness of truth. You feel the shift of your hometown city of Pisa, pride carrying seeds of decay. In flickering dreams you see Pisan ships defeated at Meloria. You hear the deep crash of a maritime empire today. Love justice, ye rulers of the earth, appears in mind. It is a poignant reminder of the fleeting nature of all the worldly power today. Your legacy has a paradox. Merchant circles cherish practical numbers. Fibonacci's work in number theory was almost wholly ignored and virtually unknown during Middle Ages. That oblivion does not hurt. Knowledge waits for ripe time. Let your imagination fly far, beyond the boundaries of the death, to see irony of future. You hear a strange name in the 19th century now, Fibonacci. You never used that name. You were Leonardo of Bonacci. But Guglielmo Libri in 1838 decided the name, turning Filius Bonacci into legend. You smile at this fate as a new identity forms, centuries after you became dust. It is a sweet paradox, being honored by a name you never signed on parchment. And ironically, the thing that makes your name immortal today is not the decimal revolution. It is the rabbit problem, written as a simple example. You see scholars of future, like Edward Lucas in 1870, studying the sequence 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and naming it the famous Fibonacci sequence today. He never looked at a sunflower and counted its spirals, seeking gold ratios in shells. But the future finds all these divine things in numbers. You become a bridge between mathematics and all of nature, a silent hero discovered through the breeding of small rabbits. This unintended honor is the final and very interesting chapter for the man in shadows. Finally, you stand before the marble statue of yourself at Camposanto Monumentale in the city, a work by Giovanni Paganucci, carved in 1863. It stands in a cemetery, the Camposanto Monumental, overlooking the city of Pisa today. Though the face is imagination, it carries the soul of wisdom and also the patience of your whole life journey. You stand in Square of Miracles, where the leaning tower sinks like a punctuation mark. Body may vanish and records of death may be lost, but the intellectual legacy is eternal. As the white marble stone, feel the slow heart pulse, blending into the historical rhythm. You are not just Leonardo. You melt into every invoice, every balance sheet and formula of the whole modern world. Vanishing in 1250 is not a final end, but an incarnation into immortality. You finished the light mission and can sink into sleep in the warm time mist. Every number you left is a star guiding human souls. In that light, your shadow remains silent and truly great. Darkness of black night covers the small room in Pisa. It is the darkness of rest after long hard work. Feel warmth of straw mattress, smell of Tuscany fields mixing with the old parchment scent, bringing you into absolute stillness. You no longer hear quills scratching on the sheets now, only steady and peaceful breath of a soul finding balance. You are like zero Zephyrum, empty in form but a fulcrum for all other values. A perfect circle closes life, bringing you to the start. Let dancing rabbits and spirals of shells and Hindu digits fade away into your dreams. No more counting or calculating or worrying about being forgotten. The truth you pursued is eternal and soothes you now in the most gentle arms. You feel yourself drifting now, like a leaf on Arno, toward the ocean of knowledge. Absolute silence covers all things, and in that silence, you find the peace of travel. Heart beats the final rhythm, like a sequence reaching limits. You close your eyes now, letting history mist embrace you. No brass trumpets of emperors, no noise of the harbor, only the whisper of wind, telling stories of a man who changed the whole world with a very great humility. You dissolve into the truth, where numbers become very meaningless before the beauty of eternity. You walk toward the door, a void where white light waits to receive your soul. You carry nothing but knowledge of a full, meaningful life. Footsteps no longer echo but become part of cosmic pulse. You head toward the horizon, where numbers begin new journeys through all space and time, bringing the breath of Leonardo to every corner of world. You smile at sleeping Pisa under the bright silver moon, a goodbye and a promise of a very bright tomorrow. Even if names are changed, your essence flows in civilization. You release into the flow of eternity with absolute freedom. From any documents or records, everything becomes blurry and pale. Only infinite peace remains today. You drift among spiral galaxies with perfect Fibonacci shapes today. Every star is a digit in the song of universe. You are not a mathematician, you have become mathematics itself. A perfect blend of human and truth, an infinite void. You breathe the immortal air, sinking deep into the arms of the eternal black night, where every mystery finds answers and every journey finds rest. Silence is perfect and pure. No sound breaks this peace. You are Leonardo and Bigolo. You are Fibonacci and beauty. You rest deep in the closing pages of human history. Night has completely covered Pisa City, and the Arno River now is a dark black silk strip shimmering with starlight drifting in absolute silence of the passing of human time. You feel yourself drifting on another river, the river of knowledge and legacies that the man left behind for the whole of humankind. Every cubic equation and every problem about the multiplying rabbit pairs have now receded far away into distance. Only a sense of peace remains for a soul that has found freedom in the laws of universe. You realize that the Fibonacci legacy does not lie only in old parchment books, but it exists now in every petal of sunflowers and in every spiral of nautilus shells and in the steady heartbeat of your own heart right now. Our journey has reached the final notes of true relaxation, where reality and dreams merge into one entity. You feel the soft weight of rest enveloping your entire body now, just like the golden ratio always exists silently but perfectly in every single living creature on this earth. Every breath of yours is now an assertion of your existence today, a part of eternal number sequences, operating this world in absolute harmony. Let the name of the great mathematician fade into the memory mist, leaving you with a light feeling of trust in the natural order. Fibonacci vanishing from historical records is not an end, but a transformation into immortality, where he becomes numbers he spent his whole life understanding. You find your heart strangely serene, as if all questions found answers in the silence of the night. Nothing left to calculate or worry about, only stillness and deep sleep are waiting for you up ahead. Let yourself sink deeper into the softness of the darkness, where spirals of nature gently soothe your soul into the realm of eternal peace. Wish you a very good sleep, with beautiful dreams about mathematical perfection and the beauty of Mother Nature. When you wake up tomorrow, the world will appear in new colors, transparent and full of great hope, like numbers you have just discovered. But now let the night embrace you and take you far away to the land of pure peace. Final sounds of the past fade away, giving way to absolute stillness of the present moment right now.